Dome's channel, and to, I guess, Alan has got streams of things that I've released, if you want to catch all the background and see where we're at, or how we got here, rather. And speaking of where we're at, let me share the screen with some audio. Yes, you click the screen too. There we go. Alrighty. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Got a little exclamation point, but I think they're coming through. Okay. Then I will mute up and we'll watch it once, front to back. This is yet another, which is completely typical of my video production style, where I recommend that the viewer on their own time, definitely when you're watching it, make frequent use of the pause key. There's a lot of detail that's going to go by, so at times on a first view it may seem a little frustrating that you're not really getting the whole picture, because it's a really complex picture, but afterwards I'll be taking you back through and we'll be looking at it all in much finer detail, so everybody will get a real good look. So yes, without much ado, let me bring that up.
What happened? What happened?
It was playing. It was playing fine.
Yeah, this line represents like the sun's equator, right? And the sunspots move parallel to that line. And then I got a better one, actually. Let me stop screen share. I got the same one, but I put an arrow on my sunspots because you can see it's like the literally exact same angle. And it's breaking my brain, bro. Like, so yeah, so it's lining up. Here's the positions: July, August, September. Like, I'm definitely documenting those motions. You know, the sun is, this is the heliocentric model stating that the sun's tilted at 7 degrees, and then the Earth at a 23.5 degree tilt. And then when you're looking at those two motions, like, these are all visual effects, right? So this would be viewed from the sun to the Earth, right? So we're viewing the motions throughout all 4 seasons, which I'm trying to document. I'm over 7 months, and then you're going to do the same thing looking at the sun here. Now, this is the sun viewed through all the 4 seasons right here. Now, mind you, I started in June, so I'm trying to get this whole picture. And so we're going to head into June here once it starts counterclockwise back. Right? And these are my photos corrected for solar noon. Boom. So here we go. My sun photos literally line up with this freaking animation right here to the T.
I'm moving through some changes. I'll never be the same. Something you did touch me. There's no one else to blame. The love we had has fallen. The love we used to share. You've given up pretending as if you didn't care. Changing places, put yourself to the ground. Capitalize on this good fortune. One word can bring you round. Changes. I look into the mirror. I see no happiness. All the warmth I gave you has turned to emptiness. The love we had has fallen. The love we used to share. You've left me here believing in love that wasn't there. Changing places, put yourself to the ground. Word to the wise, well you get what's coming. One word can bring you round. Changes. But when I look into your eyes, I'm trying to find out how. There's no way to save it now. And everything I feel changes. Keep looking for changes. Changes.
Right.
Try not sharing, Stone. Can't hear you.
Didn't have my mute off on the mic itself. Sorry, guys. I said, and that is it. Fun and frolic for everyone for 8 wild and woolly minutes. Before I go any farther, are there any questions or comments before I go into mind-splitting detail?
Nope.
Fair enough. Okay, let's leave the mic on this time. And instead of having going to the video, I've actually got the pre-production up so we can just take a clean old look. So first, let's just handle the McKeegan thing. And that's all about latitude. This is late in the video where I drew out an average of where they hit the edge on this side and an average of where they hit the edge on this side, producing this roughly equatorial line to all of the movement that we see for all 22 hours. This is kind of what you can expect that you're going to see across one day. And what is most notable is not these two or these four, but this one here and this one here that's actually underneath the green line. So we'll start there, since this is the one that comes on to the sun from the edge. It moves from white to red. And of course, this is viewed from the south of the equator. So these are all moving down to the left, where Domi in Florida, north of the equator, everything is moving up to the right. So that'll be the contrast here in terms of angular reference. So once again, white moving towards red over 22 hours or whatever that was. You can see that this particular angle is far from this angle. And this is the major point of the entire observation that I thought was most significant. And again here, as this one is leaving, almost the same inverted angle and almost the same distance away from the average equator on the other side. I thought that was really noteworthy. Anyway, so let's move on to the full composite picture, which is this one. And we'll start in the middle and how that relates to what we see going across the bottom here. So this is where east is at 9:30 in the morning in Florida in the early June. And the sun is 15:30-45, going to be roughly 52 degrees above the horizon where he's at in Florida. And as we go from month to month, I'm adding another line showing you, if you zoom in to number 7 here, for example, all of these bluish lines are from my astronomical software, showing the passage of all the planets and things that are all sitting on the ecliptic with the sun as it moves this way through the sky. And it's not just doing that, but this line is actually shifted counterclockwise. You can see one is actually still on closer to the 6 than it is the 7, but this is the average of most of them. And east has not changed much in between June and July because we're at the solstice. And if you study the analemma, you will know why that is so. And here we're starting to swing back. So now we see that away from the center of the observer, east is a little bit to the left, where it used to be a little bit to the right of where you would see. We're looking south of due east by the time August rolls around. And let's talk about, let's get to the bottom of this in the center first. You can see, but what I'm doing is I'm lining up the sun so that its movement appears vertically, down and up, just doing like the straight yo-yo thing, so that we can see how the angle is changing relative to that vertical reference. That's October, here's November, there's another one over to the right. And finally, I started to draw the following year in blue, so that when we bring east back this way, it won't cover up the pinks with more pinks. You'll actually see the progression across the bottom as well as through the center. So there's February, there's March, there's April, and there's May. And you can see that east has gone all the way out to here for the other solstice, and then here for the equinox again. Same as, roughly most of the way through September, and now we're here at March most of the way. They're kind of in the same spot, or the same distance away from where the vertical would be for the observer. And we're finally coming back all the way by May to due east. So that's what's going on in the center. Now, on the right, we're going to start to relate to the graph, which is in the upper left a little bit first. What we're showing here is the pink, which is this line. I've made them the same, so the reference transfers from here to the graph. And this pink line is the angle of that solar ecliptic away from, or either side of vertical, or how close it gets to vertical, swinging back and forth for the entire year. The solid line is all of the data, all the pictures up to here at least, that we've gotten from DOMI, and so that we've, those are solid values recorded. These ones are the expected values, and frankly, I pulled those right off of these frames that I just showed you. For the coming year, I've placed them where you would see them in the following year. The letters, for those who are not up to date, this is April, July, October, and January, and these dotted lines are the solstice and equinoxes coming down through. The only unit of measurement that we're looking at for the entire thing is here in terms of degrees, away from the vertical. The green being solar declination. This is what this is the component that produces the analemma. This is the thing showing that as we go into the summer, northern summer solstice rather, the sun is the farthest north at 23.5 degrees north and hits the equator at the equinoxes and down to 23.5 south during the north winter. So the black line again are the frames taken so far by DOMI, and we will expect others to happen, and they are slightly out of sync in terms of their rotation and how their rotation changes according to observed vertical on the surface when we're taking the picture. That these are the solar ecliptic, those pink lines I showed you, swinging back the other way, roughly 4 or 5 weeks before the same thing happens rather, to the angle at which the sunspots are going across the sun. And you'll see that here the black is a more positive line, as in more clockwise, and then less clockwise right here at the beginning of September, before the equinox. So I want to show you that relationship on the left side. Actually, no, let's go right, because I haven't showed you the right one yet. These are both. So again, we were looking in June, the values are 24 and 31, because that's what you see here. The black line, the value is 31, and the pink value is 24, and they're going to both come this way and swing back towards vertical at different rates. And this is what's most important about seeing these observations, that these are happening in entirely different rates. So again, this is 24 away from vertical, this is 31 away from, well, where the equator would be seen as our vertical, looking at it from Florida. So then we go to here, where there are 21 and 11, and then we go to here, where they're 11 and 6, and then we go to here, where they're 10 and 11. So they're matching up before the equinox. And again, the way that the black line here is produced is an average between this line and this line. These two outside black lines are not exactly parallel, and you can gather that, of course, by what I showed you with McKeegan's data, that they, even though they go through the middle, some go this way, some go that way, and what we're seeing in terms of the color spread is a Roy G. Biv progression through time. So this one ends about the 11th. I have frames all composite here going back maybe as far as the 3rd or the 2nd of September until the 11th, so that we've got enough data to confidently produce these trend lines, and then take their average to produce this center black line as the average of this angle comparable to this angle, the pink one. So again, just before the equinox, and then we start to see the other way, that the equinox, or the solar ecliptic, the planetary ecliptic, is a little more clockwise than the equator of the traversing sunspots. And then we go to November, and it's more so, and even more so as we move towards the solstice, that the trend line here in black is way over a fair bit, but the solar ecliptic has moved a great deal more to the clockwise. That's what's most important to see. And so that is why I produced the other side of this diagram, the left half of these observations, and it comes down to a difference in frame of reference. The one we're looking at here is how everything looks from the spot on the ground in Florida when you take the shot, one related to the other relative to how far they are away from vertical, your shot of the land. And as we move farther, there is no data, so I have only shown the ecliptic, again, the blue line, as we move into the following year, as in the year we're in now, that's January, February. And it starts to swing back and back and back. Okay, so then it's about reference. When we're looking at this here, this is all how it looks through the shot of the camera. Well, now we're actually rotating the camera so that this pink line is always horizontal in the shot. Again, this line and this line are averaged to produce this center line in each of the shots that we see subsequently. So what I'm tracking in the value is that the sunspot equator is 7 degrees more to the clockwise direction than the solar ecliptic, which is the one we're supposed to be spinning on, allegedly. So there's June, and there's July at 10 degrees more, and then it swings back at 5 degrees more as we approach the equinox. There's September just before, where they're crossing each other, like I showed before. But this is how they look in reference to when you're looking at this line horizontal. So again, now at -8, the equator of the sunspots has gone to the left of this reference. And
That's
more
8
so
degrees
here,
off of what? Was that off the solar ecliptic still, or is that
off
within
of the
the
solar ecliptic, exactly. This
Okay.
line, 8, this 10 in this case, because we're looking at October. This pink line corresponds to this pink line 10, rotated to horizontal, and it's how this one appears in relation to that. So when we see over here, these two are 8 degrees apart. That the pink line is 8 degrees more to the clockwise from vertical than the black line is, this green line being vertical. That's why all the measurements are in green. I've tried to color coordinate things as much as I could, but it gets pretty silly after a while. How many frames of reference are you going to go through? So now we're taking this pink line, spinning it to horizontal, and we're checking its relation purely against the rotation orientation of the sunspots changing over time. And at this point, the equator, the sunspot, the solar equator, so to speak, is counterclockwise relative to the solar ecliptic, which is also constantly changing. But this is the 10 line here that we've produced horizontal there. Hope that's clear. And that is all, again, even more so counterclockwise. And then it starts to swing back after this, or approaching the solstice even. So even before the solstice, this line is starting to go back now clockwise. But it's actually, you have to take the relation here into account as well, because both are changing. I think that's what's really important here. And again, moving more clockwise, and the line is blue now because this was first blue line, number 1 in January, and away you go. So then the extra data we will see here someday. And back to the beginning one. This is where the ball here, this little red guy, going from one to the other. So this is Y for July 1st on this vertical. This will be June 1st. This will be roughly the end of the first week of June. This is where this frame is from, dated the 7th of June. And that's where we sit on the black line looking at this picture that Domi took. So again, if you follow this one from frame to frame, you'll see that move from June to July to August to September. And here we are. This is where we are in September, where we're finally getting a negative value, and it's on the other side of the solar ecliptic in terms of rotation. And the two sinks are, one is labeled here, where, you know, when they start to swing back in the other direction. The 46.8 I mentioned before. This is all about just the range of the solar position, the GP, going to the Tropic of Cancer, going down to the Tropic of Capricorn 6 months later. That's what the green one is about. And then the rest of the pink line is the data taken from these angles, from the center. This change here goes from an orientation of roughly, you know, what is that, 8 degrees or something, to way up here to 61 or something like that. I guess it's from 4 to 61. That would be a 57-degree range in rotation, which I found rather anomalous. I haven't had the time even to try and wrap my head around why this number is so large and nobody talks about it. Because as far as we know, the biggest number we've got is this 46.8, 23.4 north, 23.4 south. And that is the thing that should be affecting this change. But apparently it's not, and it's not according to the actual data we're getting, that it swings around like this here from June to December. Found that rather anomalous. Let's see, what else? I think that's about all I would cover in the detail in learning to see what's in the video. So when you guys want to review that, I strongly, again, recommend use of the pause key. It is absolutely critical in just about all the videos that I make. Okay, yeah, any questions, comments to this point?
So
Nope.
if I could sum it up, right, it'd be lack of symmetry along the solar ecliptic in relation to the latitude. So like we're saying that our argument then would be a lack of perfect symmetry from the globular side, which it would necessitate.
I almost understood what you're driving at there. Want to try me again? No, not quite sure.
Yep. All right, so the main argument then for the sunspots and their axis of rotation in relation to the symmetry required by the globe model is that it's off. How's that?
Yeah, I give you points for that one. Sure. Yeah, it's totally not what you would expect. It's and they're certainly not moving in tandem. You know, I mean, they seem to be completely independent of each other. So I guess they have different orientations in terms of their precessional direction, as far as their rotational axes are concerned. That they are two separate things. One being a function of somehow the sun's movement within its own reference, and one being our movement, either the sun's movement relative to us, or us relative to the sun, and that's where the bigger argument ensues. But yeah, there's a complete independence in those two motions.
But so speaking dynamics for a second, right? If we think sunspots are on just like the liquid form in the plasma that is the burning ball of gas that they think it is, don't they sort of have free range like motion? Why would they be tied to the sun's like middle or anything like you were diagrammed? Just so I understand.
Excellent question, and that is the one I raised right at the end of the video. It's why do we only see, and this takes us back even to the very first image in part 1 that I showed, that composite that the Turkish astrophotographer put together of 25 daily shots that NASA put out in December 2022. Those, again, all show movement straight across from dot to dot. And I'm just not seeing that here. I'm seeing exactly the opposite the closer you get to the edge. And that's why I took the time to draw out those lines of latitude, to make it just absolutely geometrically clear that if we are looking at the sun, and we aren't, we've established that we're a little bit off in our perspective in terms of, are we on the sun's equator as well as the solar ecliptic? And the answer is no, we're not. And they are moving independently. But I mean, I'd like to see years of data, just like what I presented. I would like to see that relation month by month for a 10-year spread and actually check, is this consistent year to year? Is the rate of change consistent year to year? Does it come back to the same position year to year, just like everything else in the sky does for us? And yeah, link that up with how the closer the sunspot is to the edge, the less it is moving parallel to that perceived line of latitude, even taking precessional tilt into account as an observer. All right, I seem to have killed the audience.
No, that was a great summary and recap from you and Shane there, because that was basically
Awesome.
the the lack of symmetry, is the main focus there, and then substantiating what we were looking at with all those graphs. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it, but now that I understand it more, so that was a great
So
that was a
glad.
great recap.
Excellent. Thanks, Alan. I'm glad you at least slightly approve
The more you
and are
the
willing
more
to
you,
take another look.
the more you go
Seemed
into it, the
it
more
seemed yeah, so it seemed very straightforward, and I was like, oh, I mean, clearly it's doing the thing. And then now when you get more precision and graphs and stuff at it, now I have to look at it more closely. So,
I'm still trying to figure out how the sunspots on the sun are, exclusive of heliocentricity in the first place. I guess that it's a 3D object, or because they're just like they just go all over, right? They don't follow any trend.
well,
They change all the time.
yeah.
They follow a path, a predictable path with a vector, right? But how long do they last? Forever? Do they go around make complete revolutions? Predictably,
So
no.
I think Mello's been predicting them like on equinoxes or something where they change. I think he's got like 2 or 3 months of predictions of when they'll fluctuate or whatever.
Yeah, that is interesting. The lifespan of a particular sunspot. I mean, I've seen them in all of the pre-production that I've done for this and the past, subsequent videos for this one. I'm gonna have to go back and look again, but I'm pretty sure that we're talking about some sunspots are only there for a couple of days. Some of them go to the edge, lots of them don't. Some of them, of course, don't appear until mid-body, you know what I mean, and then disappear. It's all a question of when and where. But I certainly don't see all of them with the same lifespan or anything of the sort.
How about this, Stone? What do you think they are for reals in our world?
I have gone down that road in previous conversations, even here, like not streaming, but talking about it. Like, what if it's just like the same way that we as consumers see a light bulb? And again, I'm totally, this is in the land of conjecture. This is not part of analysis at all. This is just summary and extrapolation in terms of some kind of causal guess. And what if it is? I mean, we hear in our ancient history lore of when somehow there were so many days of darkness and the sun just kind of turned off and mayhem ensued on Earth, and so many died, and there was so much this and that and the other thing, and then all of a sudden there was a sun again. And well, back then, was anybody tracking how many sunspots before and how many after? I mean, is it just a light bulb with a lifespan? I mean, the more, and again, sunspot cycles have been established that for 11 years there's more, and then 11 there's less, and there's a curve to that. But is there a curve to the curve over longer periods of time, much like eclipses? Speak in your language, hey Shane, that maybe we're looking at what is near the end of its lifespan, that there are more sunspots at the heavy part of that cycle than there used to be a century ago or two. And maybe we are headed for another one of those just gonna turn off while we change the bulb for a couple of days kind of mayhem. Maybe it's that. I wouldn't put any money on it, because again, we're talking about a really long process, a really long lifespan, and not a lot of historical data checking those particular parameters, I guess.
Right.
Yo, Stone, did you say that some of the sunspots moved at different speeds when you were looking at the data?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And,
I think they do too.
in different distances. So that would mean like
Well,
that would mean like they're moving independently of the quote rotation of the sun. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Even if we're looking at these, right here, can you guys see my? Oh, did I? I didn't share my screen again. Let me get that first. Oh, I am. I'm still sharing. Good. So you
Yep.
can see me.
Yep.
Even when we're looking at this 1017 here, that the length of these ones down here at 7 o'clock are not like the length of these ones here.
Right.
You know what I mean? That these ones are just moving faster than those ones. So answers that question straight away. Yeah, they seem to all have minds of their own. And the closer that they are to the edge, the more oblique the angle and the less distance they're traveling, giving us the illusion of a sphere. But this is not how things move even on a sphere when we're this close to the rotational equator. This is what the whole "it's about latitude" thing was all about. Where did I don't think I have that frame here anywhere. I have it in pre-production. There it is. This one, right? So if we rotated this 15 degrees or whatever, so that these pink lines were all going this way, the way the sunspots were, if we were 30 degrees away from, and not taking the axis of precession leaning away from us into account, they would be perfectly straight lines. Maybe there's a little bit of arc to this one, and then maybe this one is actually straighter because this is the one we would see on the quote south side of what's going by, and they would be more facing us than this 30-degree line would. But still, this is why I emphasized it twice in part 1 and part 3, that this does not match that. It's just so far outside of what you would expect at that latitude, this far away from the rotational equator. I mean, this is closer to 15 degrees, 10 degrees north or whatever, you know what I mean? This is only 5 degrees north, but the angle is so oblique. That's what just doesn't make geometric sense, even on a sphere. Yeah. That's what that point's about.
Gotcha.
You get the graph. Oh, here's a nice big one of the graph, but you guys have seen that, so that's cool. Okay, yeah. So that's about where we're at there. Any final questions or comments before we head off to part 2? I see, let's see, is she here? Yes, Lilian is here, yay.
Liliana has found her airship.
It looks pretty clear.
Is there any way to get rid of the echo?
Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
mute
stop
Stone's
watching.
video while he's talking. Like if he's not showing or like presenting audio in the video, just mute his stream and it'll fix itself.
Got it. Thanks.
Yep, no worries.
Alrighty, well, let me check the main chat here for a sec.
Let me check YouTube, see if anyone's got any questions here. Oh, Mello's in the chat. What do we got, Mello?
Yes. That was Fart not talking to me. Good to hear my voice. It's good to meet you too there, Thunder Slasher, or whatever your name is in the Miswitch channel too.
Yeah, Quantum
man,
Slasher.
very cool,
You're right
very
about
cool.
that.
Oh, is that you? Is that who my buddy is? The guy I can't unban from? It's okay, dude. I got banned from my
Yeah.
I can't get back to it either. It's just there now.
Keep trying, Shane.
All right, let's get to fun times. I mean, you thought that was fun. At least I did. This stuff is way more fun, and Jesus, it was almost as much work. We're tens of hours into each of these guys. Just crazy amounts of production. So glad to finally get them both out the door, so to speak. Lots more off the plate. So now I can take a look at Taylor's binders about the Pontchartrain Bridge and all the rest of the goodies. So yes, part 2. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just going to bring it up. You guys check this out. Yes, but as a noted scientist, it was a bit surprising that the guy blinded us with science. I know. I know. Space and time necessity. Neutrinos in the ocean. Cosmic rays in harmony. They blended you with science. Should take some trigonometry when he's writing formulae. Science. I can't see the time delay. Science. It's phony fabrication. He's pushing relativity. A clever machination. Lawrence is in harmony. He blinded us with science. He blinded us with science. I should have taken QED. Little waves of gravity. Science. I can smell the fertilizer. Science. Gigantic balls in motion. That when there is number 3. Can't measure time dilation. Turns out we don't have the speed. He blinded us with science. He blinded us with science. Should have learned astronomy. Good heavens, Mr. Mihana, you're beautiful! He just can't prove it! Just formulae again! He wrote it up and I can't test anything! Can't refute it either! It's just a farce! And no falsification! What? It's general and special! When he squared the V with C, we're nowhere near the threshold. You can call it fantasy. He blinded us with science. He blinded us with science. He blinded us with. And there we are.
Blinded by the science.
And I was in the whole time.
Fantastic.
Might as well call it Relefantasy. Great.
Some of them stills were hilarious. I like the interchange between Stephen Hawking and Einstein because he can both do the same thing.
He blinded us with science. Steven just chilling there.
I feel so bad for that mouse.
That was great, Stone.
Did everybody catch the frame early with the guy on the shitter?
Mm-mm.
Should I? You guys, I'll watch for that. I got to run it back again. Let's watch it a second time, yo, and see what you think. Yeah, that was one of my favorites. It's brief but hilarious. He's there are 3 icons on the screen that flash real quick, and the one on the far right is the guy on the toilet, which I thought was absolutely perfect. Yes. All right, let's do it again.
I'm doing it again.
Did Stone go mute?
Was I not muted? Can you guys hear me?
Are we doing it again?
Yeah, I was just gonna fire it up. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it a second time. Yes, but as a noted scientist, it was a bit surprising that the guy blinded us with science. I know. I know. Oh yeah, there's gravity and motion, a space and time necessity, neutrinos in the ocean, cosmic rays in harmony. They blended you with science. Should take some trigonometry when he's writing formulae. Science. I can't see the time delay. Science. Huh, it's phony fabrication. He's pushing relativity, a clever machination. Lawrence is in harmony. He blinded us with science. He blinded us with science. I should have taken QED. Little waves of gravity. Science. Huh. I can smell the fertilizer. Science. Huh. Gigantic balls in motion. That when there is number 3. Can't measure time dilation. Turns out we don't have the speed. He blinded us with science. He blinded us with science. Huh. Should have learned astronomy. Good heavens, Mr. Mihana, you're beautiful! He just can't prove it! Just formulae again! He wrote it up and I can't test anything! Can't refute it either! It's just a farce! And no falsification! What? It's general and special! When he squared the V with C, we're nowhere near the threshold. You can call it fantasy. He blinded us with science. He blinded us with science. He blinded us with. Yeah, baby.
Nice work, Stone. That was good. I liked it
I
better.
liked it
than the
better than
Much
second.
appreciated.
Excellent.
Ah, Laylee likes it. So happy. So happy.
Yeah, I like your music, Stone.
You know that's a Thomas Dolby tune, right, Slash?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. Good.
That was great.
I'm not going to take compositional
I
credit
love
for
the
that
song.
one.
Rella Fantasy. I'm gonna be saying that.
Yeah, they use the math to trick us.
We used to say Mathemagics, but I'm gonna upgrade it to Rella Fantasy, so that when they say you don't understand it, it'll be more apparent.
I like that, Shangy.
Yeah, we got to come up with new words because the Globers invented something, and we got to step away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of competition with the mass media. They're constantly coming up with new buzz terms. So I think, yeah, the onus is on us to compete with that for sure.
I think it's better when we just find old words that they don't know because they don't know any of the stuff that they talk about. So the actual words confuse them plenty.
Yes, that is always entertaining as well.
Thank you for the song, Stongy. I'm honored.
I'm sure you know the reference of what I wrote in there. But to share with everybody else, Laylee Hannah's favorite movie in the whole world is a Danish film called Babette's Feast. And she recommends everybody watch it. And that line is from right at the end of the movie. How you will delight the angels in paradise.
Oh. Oh, you remembered my favorite movie.
But of course.
Yeah, good
But our
presentation,
cabal
Stone.
addicted friends here will never watch it.
Ball addicted. Ouch, that's a slight if I
That
ever
will
heard
be
one.
their problem.
Well, as movies go, it's a number of years old and technically a quote foreign film. So, the plot is a bit slow. There are no shootouts, there are no vehicular chases or anything like that. There are no alien encounters. But still, culturally speaking, quite an interesting movie, especially from the perspective of French history and how that affected other countries in Europe.
Another movie that's just as favorite is Stealing Heaven.
Noted.
Anyone know that movie?
No, not yet.
I think it might be a Franco-Anglo production. And it's the story of Eloise and Abelard, who were contemporaries of Hildegard.
Is it an indie movie, like not mainstream?
Yeah, most likely an indie movie, and I think it's at least 25 to 30 years old, I think.
I've got the IMDb reference to it up. It's 1988, so yeah, you're pretty close on the
That's
age.
a long way back.
It takes place in medieval Paris, and Denholm Elliott might be an actor some of you recognize.
Yep.
The rest of them probably not. So yeah, cool. Cool.
Our group here reminds me of that because, Pierre Abelard was, in his own time, he was like the foremost philosopher and teacher. And then he had a bunch of students, and just this group reminds me of his students.
Fair enough.
All right.
Yeah, guys, that is the presentation doubleheader for this evening. Thanks everybody for being here. It's been awesome.
Dude, thank you very much, Man of Stone, head of quality
Thank you,
assurance.
Stone.
Nice job, Stone.
And with that, we'll lay out the schedule for what we have coming up for the rest of the week. For Wednesday and Thursday, Shane and I have TikTok events scheduled. And then Friday, of course, will be either Flat Earth Fridays or another community space if Flat Earth Fridays is still on vacation. And then Sunday will be a special episode of Globebusters where Dr. Mike Heffron is going to join us and talk about his mutually exclusive star observations being occulted by a mountain where all the angles only work on a flat Earth. So that'll be awesome.
Ho, ho, ho.
See you guys
Nice.
on the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Sunday. And then
Every day
Tuesday,
this week.
yeah, and then Tuesday, Taylor will be giving a presentation on abiogenesis, breaking down microevolution, they call it, and how that doesn't exist. It's kind of a misnomer presented in a one-sided fashion to create the illusion that there is microevolutionary, that which support macroevolution. And let's see, and then after that, I don't know, but that's all we got coming up.
Hey, did coffee evolve or was it always here?
Ooh, that's a great question, Lily. So it turns out coffee is one of the most anomalous things in evolution, and nobody can explain it because in order for coffee to exist, somebody would have already had to brew it and put it in a cup and taste it and made it taste like what appears to be good and have drank in it and then told other people how to do that because no one in their right mind would ever put that stinky stuff in a cup and then brew it and then drink it and enjoy it and act like that it was a good thing unless they had the foreknowledge beforehand.
Well, obviously you've never tried brushtail coffees,
That
Alan
was a
G.
long.
Well, that is the anomaly, right? Somehow brush
Yep.
tail tastes good, I heard.
Yep. Brushtail is so good that actually now we have candy that these fairies made for me. I was drinking coffee one morning and this Tinkerbell like looking fairy, about 1 foot tall, flew. She was opalescent and shiny, all lit up. And she was like, "Oh, what is that delicious scent?" And I was like, "Oh, it's brushtail coffee." And so she said, "Oh," and so I said, "Yeah, I love brushtail coffee, but it is a bit of a chore to brew coffee every morning. I wish sometimes I could just get up and taste the coffee without having to brew it." She said, "Oh, here," and she waved her magic wand, and she made me this lovely toffee texture brushtail coffee, just like I like it, with milk and a little bit of unrefined sugar. And now I have brushtail toffee candy made with unrefined sugar and all natural, completely chemical free brushtail coffee. Yay!
Awesome, Lily. Glad you were able to help and spread the joy of brushtail coffee.